Have you ever met someone who showed up for you? Not because they knew who you were, not because they wanted something from you, but simply because they cared. This is the story of a single dad who stood by a woman when everyone else vanished, not knowing she was a billionaire, falling harder for him every single day. And by the end, you'll understand why sometimes the richest hearts aren't measured in money, but in love. Ethan stood outside the restaurant nervously straightening his shirt collar, his young daughter Lily clutching his hand. He wasn't there for a date. He didn't have time for those anymore, but rather to pick up some dinner after their weekly park visit. Life as a single dad hadn't been easy, but he had learned to find joy in the little things. Lily's smile, her laughter, the way she still thought the world was full of magic. That was enough to keep him going. Inside the restaurant, Amelia sat alone at a corner table. Her hands were wrapped tightly around a glass of water, her eyes scanning the door every time it opened. She had agreed to meet a man she thought might be different, someone who didn't care about her wealth or last name. But minutes stretched into an hour, and her so-called date never showed up. The humiliation burned in her chest. To everyone else in the room, she was just another woman stood up. But Amelia wasn't just another woman. She was the heir to a billion-dollar empire, though no one here knew it. Just when she thought she couldn't stand the pitiful glances anymore, she saw Ethan walk in with Lily. He had no idea she was fighting back tears. All he noticed was a woman with a kind but broken look in her eyes. Lily tugged on his hand and whispered, "Daddy, why is that lady sad?" Ethan hesitated. He didn't want to intrude, but something about Amelia's loneliness pulled at him. Against his natural reserve, he walked over. "Excuse me, are you okay? Would you like some company?" At first, Amelia wanted to brush him off. But when she looked at Lily's innocent face and Ethan's steady, gentle eyes, something in her heart cracked open. She nodded softly. That night, instead of eating alone, Amelia found herself laughing with a single dad and his daughter over shared plates of pasta. The sting of her vanished date began to fade. What surprised her most was Ethan never once asked who she was, what she did, or why she was there alone. He simply listened. He treated her like a person, not a title. For Amelia, that was more valuable than all the diamonds she owned. But deep down she worried. What if he found out who she really was? Would this man who seemed so genuine still want to be around her, or would he vanish too? Over the next weeks, their paths kept crossing. What began as one dinner turned into coffee meetups, long walks in the park with Lily, and nights spent talking until the stars came out. Ethan opened up about his struggles, how Lily's mother had left when she was just a baby, how he worked 2 jobs to give her a stable life, and how sometimes he felt like he was failing at everything. Amelia listened, her heart swelling with admiration. Here was a man who gave everything without expecting anything back. A man who knew what sacrifice meant, who loved deeply without conditions. For someone like Amelia, who had grown up surrounded by people who only saw her fortune, Ethan was a revelation. But she carried a secret. Every time Ethan told her she was refreshingly real, guilt stabbed at her. He had no idea she was a billionaire. She wanted him to know the truth. Yet she feared the very thing that made him different from everyone else might disappear. One evening, while they sat by the river and Lily skipped stones nearby, Ethan noticed Amelia's faraway look. "You don't have to carry everything alone," he said gently. "Whoever hurt you before, that's not your fault. But don't let it keep you from letting people in." A tear welled in Amelia's eyes. For the first time, someone had seen her heart, not her fortune. She wanted to tell him everything. But before she could, Lily ran up, laughing, clutching a perfect flat stone. The moment passed. As the days went by, Amelia realized she wasn't just falling for Ethan. She was falling for the life he lived. The simple joys, the unconditional love between father and daughter, the strength in their struggles. She wanted to be part of that world, even if it meant giving up her own. The turning point came when Ethan lost one of his jobs. Bills piled up, and though he never said a word, Amelia could see the exhaustion in his eyes. She longed to help, but how could she without revealing the truth? Finally, one night after Lily was asleep, Amelia whispered, "Ethan, there's something I need to tell you." Her hands trembled as she confessed the secret she had held for weeks. Silence followed. Ethan stared at her, not in anger, but in disbelief. "You a billionaire?" he whispered, almost as if the words didn't fit. Then he shook his head, chuckling softly. And here I thought you were just a kind woman who liked bad coffee and long walks." Amelia's heart sank. "Does it change things?" she asked. Afraid of his answer, he reached for her hand. "No. Because when I look at you, Amelia, I don't see money. I see the woman who sat with me and my daughter when she didn't have to. I see the woman who makes us laugh, who makes us feel less alone. That's what matters." In that moment, Amelia realized something she had never believed before: love could be real, even for someone like her. And Ethan, this single dad who had stood by her when her date vanished, was the man she had been searching for all along. Sometimes the richest people in the world aren't the ones with fortunes in the bank, but the ones who give their love freely, even when life gives them little in return. Ethan and Amelia's story reminds us that love doesn't care about status. It only cares about hearts that choose each other. And maybe, just maybe, the person meant for you will show up when you least expect it and never leave.